What a major start to the college basketball season we have for Auburn men's basketball. From Houston, your final score, Auburn takes down number 4 Houston by the score of 74-69. This is going to be our live reaction show. We're going to talk about the score, the stats, and of course the storylines. Lots of them, lots to talk about in this one. All that's coming up right now, so stick around. We got a lot of fun things coming up. War Eagle, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of E2C Network Live, where we get together and we talk about the Auburn experience. What is the Auburn experience? We define it as Auburn sports, Auburn culture, Auburn family stuff. A better way to say it, an easier way to say it is if it's orange and blue, it's what we do. So we thank you for joining us in what we do in this very late night live stream reaction show. What do we have on tap for you today? Folks, major news, not just in Auburn basketball's world, but in college basketball's world. Your Tigers have taken down the mighty number 4 Houston Cougars in Houston at a neutral site, but it is in Houston by the score of 74-69. Bruce Pearl gets his signature win 2 games into the season. Certainly this bodes well for the rest of the year in terms of the outlook for things. There's still plenty of mileage to go, plenty of tall tasks to go, but this is a great benchmark for this team, given the fact some of the things that occurred throughout the week. We will certainly talk about that, but we're going to spend a lot of the time here at the very start of the show focusing on the win, focusing on what went well, what didn't go well at times. Whew, boys, ladies, gentlemen, whoever you are, children, if you're up this late, we got a lot to talk about tonight, so thank you so much for joining us. Obviously, as you're coming to the stream, celebrate. I know a lot of you may be watching this on the replay because it is a late night stream, but however you got here, whenever you got here, please do smash that like button as you're coming in. It's a huge help to us. Follow, subscribe, all that good stuff. Let us know that you're here. Drop some comments. We're going to be talking about a few of those. We want to hear from you. It is a reaction stream after all. We do want to start the show off with just some quick thoughts from me, some information pieces for you all. You know the score, 74-69. Auburn beats Houston in Houston at a neutral site. But certainly we need to dive into a few of those things. But y'all go ahead and have some fun in the chat for those of you that are watching live this evening already. Let me go ahead and do the rundown for you of the score, how everything shook out scoring-wise. I think we've got some very good candidates tonight for players of the game that look no further than Tahad Pettiford with 21 points, Janai Broom with 20, and then your other top scorer tonight was Chaney Johnson, who arguably is going to get forgotten about in a lot of this with the great start that he had in this game, and arguably is probably the reason we were in the position we were, getting us off to that great start with 11 points tonight. The rest of your scoring, JP Begiggs with 2, Denver Jones with 4, Chad Baker-Mazzara with 7, Dylan Cardwell with 2, Chris Moore with 2, Miles Kelly with 5, and we went through the other top 3 as it stands right now. Major stats for you in this one: Auburn's field goal percentage, 53% from the field, 30% from the three-point arc, which really heated up down the stretch for the Tigers, which is also to note that Miles Kelly, who was the sharpshooter in the first game, had got 4 fouls and wasn't, had to be limited a little bit. So the fact that they were able to kind of rise back up from their very slow start, three-point wise, is huge. Free throw percentage got better throughout the game, but still not that great. 68%, 12 turnovers, total rebounds, 33. And then we'll look at some more things as we go throughout the evening. But that gives you a quick glance at how things shook out. Your score at the end of the first half was 28-33. Houston. And then in the second half, Auburn outscored them 46-36, resulting in your final score of 74-69. Your Tigers are victorious. All right. That's a quick rundown of what just happened in this game. Obviously, huge implications for Auburn in outlooks for the season. As I've said, folks, I've always tried to really temper expectations. Sometimes our teams don't make that an easy job for me. A great performance in game 1. I would argue that the performance that happened in this game is more impressive, not just because of the opponent that you're playing, given the fact that it was on the road, given the fact of what else happened this week that we certainly are going to talk about. I know I'm going to tease that. I know most of you want to talk about that. Let's focus on where we're at right now. I'm going to go ahead and ask the room, and we'll start taking some comments from you as well. Who is your player of the game? Two really good candidates for that. Who is your player of the game? Put that in the chat right now. Let's hear from you. See what you think about it. Who do you think should be the player of the game today? I think you've got really, really, really good options here. Obviously, Janai Broom and Tahad Pettiford. I mean, and then two just stark comparisons to what actually happened in the game. Or excuse me, in terms of their particular storylines. You've got a senior who's been here forever, who's been the guy forever, and who has been able to make a name for himself, and the guy who just got here and now is able to start making a name for himself in a big way. And he had a pretty slow or not as exciting first game, if I recall correctly. You guys are saying it right here, Tahad, and Janai. You got to pick one. That's why it's called player of the game. If you had to pick one, which one is it going to be? WT is throwing his cap in the Pettiford, but CBM will go unsung for all his contributions. More on that in a second. Pettiford, we got another one. Reminds me of Cheney. Reminds me of Katie Johnson. Cheney for me. That's a good one as well. Look, folks, I think your two picks in this are going to be Janai and Tahad just from the score alone and how they just took over down the stretch. I mean, it's one thing for Janai. We've seen him do this before. Just be the guy, take over in a second half and put Auburn in a position to be competitive. But how nice is it for Janai to have someone else step up at the end of the game for him too? On top of that, the unsung heroes. Let's ask the room that. Let's do that. Let's poll the room. Who's the unsung hero tonight for you? Someone has nominated Chad Baker-Mazara, I think, in a night where he got into some foul trouble early, limited in some way, had a really good bounce back in the second half with his effort. Cheney Johnson is another one as well, I think, with those 11 points. Arguably got us off to a really great start tonight in the way that he was able to kind of get things going while some of our big scorers got themselves situated tonight. We got a CBM without a doubt is the unsung hero. There you go. So probably there are a few moments tonight that made things a little bit frustrating, and the announcers even pointed out, will that come back to haunt them? And one of those was some missed dunks. There was one by Chris Moore and there was one by Cheney Johnson. Do not let that overshadow their contributions, though. We posted this in our coverage on X. If you guys are ever interested, we're giving our thoughts and opinions and takes about things on X during the games. You can certainly follow there. If you dismiss in any way Chris Moore's contributions to this team, then you don't know ball. He is uber important to this team in ways that he plays defense, that he comes in, he's a calming force. He knocks down that dunk there. It's even more of a reason to celebrate him. But don't forget about people like him when we're talking about some of these other players, whether it's the unsung heroes or your players of the game tonight. Let's see here. Facebook user, I don't know who this is. It's just Facebook user says, Tahad made it impossible for BP to take him out. He was running the offense really well. So I don't know who to attribute this to. Maybe it's a bunch of different Facebook users. It's just not giving me y'all's name tonight. But Tahad made it impossible for BP to take him out. He was running the offense really well. I think this is a really good juxtaposition, and I think a lot of you will make the reference. I hope, not in a fun-loving but kind way, to who is no longer here in that position, and to start comparisons about who got off to such a good start. And he did as well. But Tahad looked so comfortable out there. That was just wild to see him just in his element. I think the TV announcers even said it as well, how much they loved the expression on his face when he realized he was going to get to ice the game with the free throws. Excuse me, or at least part of him was that process. That is obviously what you want to see in a young guy like him, is being excited that he's in those pressure cooker situations. Let's see what you guys else are saying here. Let's see. I would like to give Tugler the Flopper of the Year award. Well, It came back to bite him because he did get 4 fouls tonight and kind of took him out of the game sometimes tonight. You can be mad about all these different things. The folks, this is a really good basketball team. And here I am in the excitement of the win, and I didn't give credit where credit is due, even points it out right here. We're going to have a long basketball season, and I hope y'all are ready for this. I hope that you're subscribed on YouTube. I hope that you're following on Facebook or just following us in general everywhere that you can get it, because we're going to have a lot of fun talking basketball. One of the things that you're going to hear and see people obsess about, and rightfully so to some degree, is we got to have this quad one win. We got to have this, particular thing for the resume and things like that. And a lot of times Auburn has not been able to secure that maybe at all, but early in the season. You got it. Number 4, neutral site. So I don't know where that works out in the math. I'm 99% sure this is a quad one win. It would have been officially one if it had been at their place. I think in all of those metrics, it will definitely be a quad one win. So that is done. That is obviously on your resume. Huge, huge, huge for Auburn for down the road, many, many months from now, times when we're talking about these things. The Ken Pom ratings are now overall number 1, defense number 2, offense number 4. It's pretty impressive, right? It's pretty impressive. I'm still wondering about that no foul was called when Broom got pushed out of bounds. And even Devin pointed out that he was getting beaten up tonight. This is what happens, folks. This is big boy basketball. You were just treated to a March Madness level game this early in the season, and it's physical. It's tough. Sometimes they let only one team play. Sometimes they let them both play. I am happy about the win. I am happy the implications of what's happened this week, but I am so happy just in general for this team because they came on the road, already had adversity, faced adversity throughout this game, came back several times, finally took that lead and held on to it and learn how to finish a game. Never mind. I'm going to not go there. But certainly this is a great confidence booster for this team. It's a great elevator for what they think that they're capable, what they know that they're capable of. You just went into Houston. That was not a neutral site game. It was, but it wasn't. You heard the crowd there. This was an incredible opportunity for Auburn to get tested, exposed, as Coach Bruce Pearl has talked about in good and bad ways, and to be able to see where they stack up for March Madness this early in the season. If you thought Auburn was up in the air if they were for real or not, I think at least in terms of being competitive with the big boys, they have now staked their claim on that this early in the season. All right, let's keep moving here. See what you guys are saying tonight. TJ wants to bring up a sticking point for me. Free throws were killer throughout the game, but made the ones at the end mean the most. Absolutely, this is 100% true. If you've been to our shows before, you've heard me talk about it. You've heard me harp on it 1,000 different times, 1,000 different ways, and unfortunately tonight, fortunately it got better, but the ones that I'm going to focus on are free throws, turnovers, and the rebound battle margins, things like that. So for your free throws tonight, 68% from the field. I believe that you should, as a good basketball team, be no lower than 80%. That is a high watermark. I acknowledge that, but that's just what I was raised in. So, and coached in. So not up to the standards, but this got better throughout the game, making 13 of 19. Let's look at the next stat. Turnovers. Auburn has 12 to Houston's 10. It's a little bit higher than what they had in their first game, which I believe was 9, and only 2 more than Houston. The reality is they didn't let it get out of control as compared to the other team. This is second game, I believe, for both teams, definitely for Auburn. So there's still going to be some early season jitters there. I can't say that they did a great job taking care of the ball tonight, but definitely didn't let it get out of hand. So you see very comparable things there. Houston shot the free throws a little bit better tonight. They also were a little bit better in turnovers, and then in rebounds, dead even. I mean, dead even, just absolutely dead even. 33 for 33. Defensive rebounds, Auburn wins. Offensive rebounds, they win. If that doesn't tell you enough that this was an incredibly even matchup, that right there should tell it. I always look for the stat within the game, the one that tells the story of how the game went. And I think right there, just kind of looking at it, 33 to 33 rebounds flat, and then they swapped who won the offensive and the defensive rebounds. I think that's the stat line that tells you the story of the game. This came down to the wire. These were two great basketball teams, and fundamentals is what took over. Some fundamentals weren't that great. Others were. The rebound, I think, tells the story tonight. All right, let's keep looking and see what you guys are saying. Tons of celebrations from all over the place. Tahad also played 15 plus minutes as a freshman. He's going to be a great contributor. Certainly. Let's plus 15 minutes. Let me look on here. Tahad played 24 minutes tonight. If you're talking about in the second, or plus 15 extra minutes. Well, there were some players missing tonight, so certainly there were going to be more minutes to go around. I saw someone talk about earlier in the day about how this would force Bruce to really work with a limited roster, obviously, and who really is going to be a contributor down the line. Certainly you can make that case. That I wouldn't want to dismiss the other two guys yet, but obviously this does ask the question, what happens when Auburn loses some of its depth, even if it's not the guys that were starting? Turns out it's pretty good. It's pretty good. Houston reminds me so much of the 2021 Baylor team, and man, I can see Davion Mitchell on the guard. And man, Davion Mitchell, that's a name that I really wish we had for much longer. Great player that for Day. I really celebrated him when he went to Baylor, and I hated that we couldn't have stuck him around. Cryer plays much like Davion Mitchell. I mean, obviously, would have to go back and watch some Davion Mitchell highlights, but certainly Cryer was a great player for them tonight. If you look at their guys, they had 5 players in double digits, but nobody gets beyond 13. Sharp and Cryer are their top scorers on the evening. This Auburn team is much better defensively than last year, and maybe better 3-point shooting wise. I wouldn't go that far yet. We did play at home in our first game against a team that's supposed to be good, but we shoot really well at home. This was an okay shooting night, much like the free throws got a little bit better throughout the night. Remains to be seen, but I like what I see thus far. Not too much to get upset about, even when they have adversity. I keep knocking the mic around. I'm sorry. They rise to the occasion and shoot 30% from the field, one out of every 3. They can't really get too mad about that. Yeah. Janai, by the way, Janai checks in on our TikToks from time to time. I really appreciate him popping over there. So this is not broadcasting there, but maybe we'll put the clip up for him or something like that. I do think Janai's got something with his free throws when it comes to Houston. Obviously, we'll remember back to that second round game against an also very formidable Houston team where there were some free throws that kind of bit him in the butt. Tonight, he is 0 for 4 from the free throw line. Well, here's the great thing, Janai. If you see these guys again, it'll be in the tournament. So hopefully you got plenty of time to work on that. But listen, I ain't mad at you tonight. 20 points, 9 rebounds. He was one shy of his double-double. Still ain't mad at you. What a great game. Free throws, got to work on them, but certainly can't really be too mad tonight. Tons of celebrations still going around all over the place. It looks like we're just getting Facebook user in all of y'all's names tonight, which I'm not sure why, so sorry for that. That's something probably on their end. WT says another unsung hero of Auburn of the game is Auburn's inbound defense. It disrupts so many teams. I don't know that it's unsung though anymore, WT. I think this is just a common understanding that when you're going to inbound the ball against Auburn, you're going to face adversity. And they're probably at least going to be successful in making you turn the ball over at least 1 or 2 times a game. So that was a big thing tonight. Rugerell wants to give a big shout out to the coaching staff. And certainly I think, obviously, for the reasons that we want to talk about here in a second, you do need to give them a shout out. You face, obviously, a big embarrassment this week, and you had every opportunity to lay down just to start off the game. You had every opportunity when you almost gave up a double-digit lead. And then when you came back a couple times, tied it up, and then gave up a lead again, had to fight back. Every opportunity to lay down, every opportunity to make excuses, every opportunity to say, well, we were just a little bit distracted. But this staff and this team, because you can coach them up all you want, you can get them focused all you want, but they got to respond. It goes both ways. Credit goes to this coaching staff, certainly, but credit also goes to this team for rising to the occasion above adversity, even if it is from within this week. Let's see here. Miles trouble and foul trouble. Miles Kelly was in foul trouble most of the game. I think it was ridiculous. It did suck not being able to see him probably get as comfortable throughout the game, but certainly what what defines you as a team is when you lose those pieces. How do you respond? Who steps up? Tonight, your main guy, Janai, steps up. New guy, Todd Pettiford, steps up in a big, big way. Houston usually holds opponents to 40 range. We scored 74 tonight. I don't think I need to say it any further. Houston's a great team. Houston's a great program under Kelvin Sampson. And certainly this is a team that you need to respect a lot. And certainly the win is very respectable for Auburn, given the fact that their defense seemingly is so good. We got another, one of the biggest wins in Auburn basketball history. Maybe, I don't know. If that feels a little hyperbolic tonight, but in a good way. I'm glad if you're going to be hyperbolic, you're that way. But we'll see. We'll look through that. Maybe Austin and I can talk about it in the Auburn experience. We'll certainly be talking about this tomorrow night. We'll give you some notes about that coming up here in a little bit soon. All right. Couple more comments here, and we'll kind of start putting a bow on everything a little bit. But let me, while you guys are doing that, and you guys can have conversations among yourself too, let me address the elephant in the room. And no, I'm not talking about Bama. I know this is a little bit of a change, but certainly let's address the drama that started to unfold yesterday evening for Auburn. And I think I would be remiss if I didn't cover a little bit for you. But we spent the first 20 minutes celebrating and talking about the good and things that could have improved from tonight, and a great win. Certainly a very disappointing thing that happened. And very discouraging to hear that two players, whether it was horseplay, whether it was just a little bit of a friendly, not even a friendly, but just kind of a, posturing of each, or it actually was a fight. The wording is there was an altercation between Jaheim Hudson and Ja'Kai Howard, and both forced the team to have to go back, deplane, and get a later flight. Talk about adversity right there, just the team having to be their schedule messed up. Not only the embarrassment and the drama of all that, and they didn't come. Obviously, this is very embarrassing. And I would be very careful, not just in what you believe and what you read and what you start saying online, but also how you interpret what has or hasn't happened. Nobody knows exactly what happened, what was said, what wasn't said, other than the coaches and the team. I would imagine you may hear more rumors and things like that. Some of you may say, players on the team, they've told you exactly what happened. The reality is it was an embarrassing situation. It was a national story. It was on ESPN. But thankfully, the story tonight is Auburn's upset win over Houston, in Houston, even at a neutral site game, but it was still basically a home game. So to me, this is one of those moments where the team rose above it. And certainly we've got plenty of speculation and talk to have about that in the future. What is the future going to hold in regards to that? I don't know. You don't know. But certainly, Auburn rose above it tonight. And I'm so thankful for that. Very proud of them. Okay. Let's see here. What else we got talking about tonight? Great contributions from so many players. Absolutely agree there. Yeah, and I think that's an important thing to bring up, Unbeaten Lake. I'm just going to say it. I'll just say it live here. If you see anything with Goodman written, you need to be skeptical of it. I'm just going to be honest with you. Jeff Goodman, John Goodman, whichever one it is, both of you have caused problems. I know what you're doing. Stop it. You're just trying to get clicks. You know that you can stir the fan base up and stuff like that. There was some very poor reporting on that. And there were others as well. But be very cautious with who you read, what you're reading, what's their history, what's their biases that are at play here that they're also using as motivations for what they push and when they push it. So there was a false report put about CBM and Cardwell. Played great together tonight. So obviously we need to be very careful about what we read and what we believe. Always be cautious about those things. Let's see here. If Broom runs the point through the paint during the clutch, the point will stay balanced. And the coach voice, I am not sure what is going on there. I don't know what to make of that. And I don't really know who it is on Facebook tonight because it's not giving me y'all's names for some reason. Let's see here. Yeah, and certainly there were others as well. So it's not just Goodman, it's not just trolls. It was several of them. And you should really learn who you read and who you follow and who you take with a grain of salt going forward. Anyway, it's an embarrassing situation. It will be handled. It is being handled. Thankfully, it doesn't ruin tonight. This is a great thing. All right. Gonna take a couple more comments. Let's get back to focus on the game. If you've got any more about that, certainly there's plenty of things that we haven't talked about yet during the game. If you'd like to do so, drop that in the chat right now while you're thinking about some of those things and we switch gears. Let me remind you of what we got coming up here next at E2C Network. Hey, folks, we are in the 100s now. Episode 101 of the Auburn Experience podcast is live tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern time. Do not miss it. Austin and I am back in the saddle. We got some fun topics. We're going to talk about this basketball week, certainly Auburn news. And we got a fun, slightly controversial topic that I think is going to be interesting. And we're going to keep it cool. We're going to have a good discussion around it. But certainly, we like to cover all angles of the Auburn experience, and that will be handled on episode 101. So join us if you can. A little bit of scheduling note for the rest of the week. Keep this in mind. We will have a little bit of fluidity to this. Right now, normally we have our Auburn family night on Wednesday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern time. We have a basketball game, which will be another post-game stream. So what's going to happen? For now, just know that we're going to think about doing one maybe before the basketball game, which would be an hour earlier. I'm not going to guarantee that quite just yet, but certainly we are going to have the post-game show for Kent State back at home in Neville Arena. Join us for that right after the game, just like you're here right now. And as always, we want to remind you of our friends at Alumni Hall. Please support us by supporting them. Use the link in our description thing over here on YouTube, and it'll take you to our one link to that link and buy something there. It supports them. It supports us. Okay. That is the drill. That's the rundown. What do we got here? What do we got? We can improve this resume by beating number 5 Iowa State. Unbeaten Lake. I feel like you're always ready to just move on. I love that about you. And also, I'm like, let's just celebrate this. Right now, you just beat the number 4 Houston team. Certainly so much more on the table, and this is a great statement setter for that. Katie was tweeting and watching the game. Zap Jasper was celebrating Tahad Pettiford as a point guard as well tonight. Definitely miss him and him being crazy on the court. And I spoke with someone in our comments that was trying to be rude to KD, and KD very much seems to still have a great relationship with Auburn and his former teammates and stuff. So I would highly encourage y'all to also be supportive of him as well. He may not be here anymore. He may be playing for somebody else, but he brought us a lot of fun over the years and a lot of good contributions too. People miss that sometimes. Let's see here. Great contribution from Chaney Johnson, especially in the first half. We talked a little bit about him as well. Great for another call out there. I see you, WT. I see you. KD and Tahad. Woo, that would have been a good duo. Seems like it right now, right? Plenty more basketball still to play. All right. I think we have covered every angle we can tonight. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We'd like to get you out of here in about half an hour. Folks, 74-69, your Auburn Tigers defeat the Houston Cougars for the first time in 63 years, I believe, getting revenge for that tournament game, getting a quad one win. If it does check out in that category, I believe it does at a neutral site, getting a top 5 win just in general, resume setter, resume builder, and confidence builder, given everything that happened this week. What a great cap to what all has transpired in opening week for Auburn basketball 2024-25. And we are excited so much to do this the rest of the season with you, the ups and the downs, as we experience both these week. But thank you guys so much for hanging out with us and being part of our little family within the Auburn family. Till we talk to you again, War Eagle.